Welcome to our Republic Matters podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Johnny.
Tonight we're on episode number 93. We're going to be talking about the USAID. So is paying taxes a scam? Ever feel like you're paying for the same thing over and over? You work hard, earn your money, and right away you're hit with taxes. That's income tax, but it doesn't stop there. When you go to spend your money on groceries, gas, or even coffee, there's more tax waiting for you. Sales tax, VAT, all of the money you've already been taxed on. And it doesn't end there. When you buy bigger things like a car or a house, you get hit with property taxes, registration fees, and more, even though you're using money that's already been taxed. It sure sounds like a scam to me.
Yeah. How much is enough for these bureaucrats and government agencies and local governments and state governments? How much is enough?
It'll be enough when they take every penny, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. We don't have anything left.
To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow.
So on the right, we have federal government org chart, reserved what the president controls versus what the judiciary controls. These are executive agencies, the actions of which only the president is held responsible. So this is the government of the United States. And so you got the Constitution, the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. And you notice all the departments that are controlled by the executive branch. None of these are under the legislative or the judicial.
So this judiciary, they've tinkered in a place they don't need to be. And same way with the legislature. I don't understand all this business having all these confirmation hearings. Why not let the guy pick his department head? All the Democrats do is when they get up there is try to run the guy down. It's all personal attacks, never anything to do with the actual ability of the person. They always go after personal attacks. So I think they need to stay out of it too, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think so too. And you're right. It's all about attacking the person.
Yeah, like the old saying goes, they need to stay in their lane,
Yeah.
and do what they're supposed to do. Instead of running all over the place trying to take care of everybody else's business. I do know that the legislature does have oversight. So that's fine. If a guy makes it through the confirmation process and doesn't make it later on, they can always bring him before him and dress him down. And sometimes the actual executive, the president will get rid of them himself. They thin them out. They turn over pretty quick. Sometimes these department heads do.
So this is from Richard Grinnell. I was briefed today by the CFO of the Kennedy Center on its financial situation. She told me there is zero cash on hand and zero in reserves, and the deferred maintenance is a crisis. For the past months, they've been digging into the debt reserves. So we must fix this great institution. These people are working hard at National Premier Performing Arts Center deserve better, and so do all Americans. So where'd all this money go?
Well, we know where some of it went. If you look on the very next on the right, you'll see where over 5 million of it went to people that's over there running, executives running it. They have no reserve, and we're giving them millions. And I think it's as typical of government altogether. Department heads making this big money, like Tony Fauci over at the NIH, making $400,000 or $500,000 a year. Crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It goes all the way down, I think, $213,000 for general counsel. And what do these people really do?
I don't know. You're paying the president $1.3 million, but you got to have a chief administrative officer. What the dang president doing?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know.
And this is really is just chump change compared to what's going on in other areas. But it's just typical of what's going on in the government. And we've been letting it go on for years.
So this is the DOGE clock, Government Efficiency Live Tracker. So they've already saved $45.47 billion in just a little over 2 weeks? That's amazing. Amazing how much waste is really going on.
Yeah, and they ain't got to the places where it really got some waste going on, like the military, the Pentagon. That's going to be something.
Yeah, I'd like to see the IRS too.
Yeah.
Where all that money's going. So, I mean, who can really be upset at Elon for digging into government waste?
The people that's getting it through the back door.
Yeah, exactly. The people that benefit from all this.
Yeah. That's the ones that's mad freedom while all them Democrats are screaming. Why do you think Maxine Waters is screaming? Why do you think that pastor in Chattanooga's raising Cain? Come to find out, the person that Episcopal, whatever they call it, I don't know if they call them priests, but this was a woman was trying to discipline the president at the National Prayer Breakfast, and come to find out her organization has gotten $50 million from the USAID. No wonder she was doing that.
Yeah, no wonder.
She's mad because they're going to cut her money off.
So we put this in here. We thought this was really funny. Of course, we like the one on the right. The greatest fear in D.C. is that an executive branch uncontrolled by the establishment will lead to the exposure of the corruption that has become the foundation of our government. This is the real reason Trump is under a constant attack.
Amen.
Amen. But yeah, these are some pretty good slides. And of course, it shows that, everybody's got their hand in the piggy bank. And I stuck this in here. I pulled this from Google Maps, because there was a lot of talk about Google had changed the name from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And so it's true. I did pull it off Google Maps, and you can see it. I think Apple Maps still shows it as the Gulf of Mexico. You were saying Mexico's suing us, aren't they? Or suing Google?
Yep. Yeah, they're suing Google. I don't think that'll go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't either. Probably don't have as much money as Google.
No, yeah, that's true.
So these are a couple of videos we're going to play, and then we'll come back.
We are 2 weeks in, and President Trump is already delivering big wins for the American people. Let's go through the facts. On the border, President Trump declared a national emergency, deployed the military, ended catch and release, and reinstated Remain in Mexico. And already, illegal crossings are down 95%. We are resuming construction of the border wall, and Colombia's president is now offering his own plane for deportation of illegal Colombian immigrants. On the economy and energy, President Trump unleashed American energy, declared a national energy emergency, and killed Joe Biden's radical electric vehicle mandate. Wall Street is booming, AI investments skyrocketed to $500 billion, and there's $20 billion flowing into U.S. data centers across our country. President Trump is restoring law and order. He labeled the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and he is deporting criminal illegal aliens, and he signed the Laken Riley Act into law. Draining the swamp, President Trump signed more than 45 executive orders. DEI has been purged from the government and our military, and lazy federal workers have been ordered back to the office. And when it comes to free speech and transparency, President Trump took 12 times more press questions than Joe Biden did in a week, reinstated 440 silenced journalists to the press room, and ended government censorship. Promises made, promises kept, and we're just getting started.
As a Mexican American who voted for Trump, I have been called so many things. I have been told that I am a sellout. I have been told that I'm whitewashed. I have been told that I'm a wannabe white. I have been told that I'll never be accepted by the white people. And I have been told that my ancestors would be so disappointed, even though they're the ones that came here in the first place. But the funniest one is when they say, wait till they come for you. Wait till they send you back. Back to where? To California, where I was born. Because the Democrats love to claim that the Trump supporters and the Republicans are so racist, yet they are the ones making the most disrespectful and racist comments ever. So what do you call that again? Oh yeah, that's right. A hypocrite.
So we have there's a couple more videos we'll show from X, so we'll take a look at these now. Is there anything you want to say about them first?
The only thing I can say, the second one is really good, but do be aware that there's some adult language. Not a whole lot. In one little spot, though, it gets a little heated.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Schellenberger for Public. The House of Representatives impeached President Donald Trump in December 2019 after a White House whistleblower went public with evidence that Trump had abused his powers by withholding military aid to Ukraine in order to dig up dirt on his rival Joe Biden. In the complaint, the whistleblower claimed to have heard from White House staff that Trump had, on a phone call, directed Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to work with his personal attorney at the time, Rudy Giuliani, to investigate Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. The whistleblower who triggered the impeachment was a CIA analyst who was first brought into the White House by the Obama administration. Reporting by Dropsite News last year revealed that the CIA analyst had relied on reporting by a supposedly independent investigative news organization called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, or the OCCRP, which appears to have effectively operated as an arm of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, which President Trump has just shut down. The CIA whistleblower complaint cited a long report by OCCRP 4 times. The OCCRP report alleged that 2 Soviet-born Florida businessmen were key hidden actors behind a plan by Trump to investigate the Bidens. Those 2 businessmen connected Giuliani to 2 former Ukrainian prosecutors, according to OCCRP. The OCCRP story was crucial to the House Democrats' impeachment claim, which is that Trump dispatched Giuliani as part of a coordinated effort to pressure a foreign country to interfere in the 2020 presidential election, which is why the whistleblower cited it 4 separate times. In a 2024 documentary that the German television broadcaster NDR made about OCCRP's dependence on the US government, a USAID official confirmed that USAID approves OCCRP's annual work plan and approves of new hires of key personnel. NDR had initiated and carried out the investigation with a French investigative news organization called Mediapart, an Italian news group called Il Fatto Quotidiano, Reporters United in Greece, and Dropsite News in the United States. However, according to a Mediapart story published the same day as the Dropsite News article, NDR censored the broadcast after U.S. journalist Drew Sullivan, the co-founder and head of OCCRP, placed pressure on the NDR management and made false accusations against the broadcaster's own journalists who had been involved in the project. On December 16th, Dropsite's Ryan Grimm posted a link on X to the 26-minute-long documentary. NDR, Germany's public broadcaster, is facing a censorship scandal, he wrote, and it's defended itself by saying it never killed a news report about OCCRP and its State Department funding because no report was ever produced to kill. That was absurd, wrote Grimm, and dozens, maybe hundreds of journalists knew it to be false. And now, of course, someone has leaked it. The Dropsite journalistic collaboration revealed that OCCRP's original funding came from the Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs of the United States State Department. And it quotes a USAID official who says,
He was just nervous about being linked with law enforcement. Yeah.
But why?
Well, because sources maybe, right? If people that are going to give you information think, oh, you're just an arm of, you're just a cop, right? I mean, maybe it's a problem. Or and other governments, say you're trying to get into a country and do something, and the government says, "Oh, what are you, law enforcement or not?" Right? Like, there's a need that the separation, the independence is important, because if you lose that, you lose your sense of it's a value. Your reputation is incredibly important.
OCCRP does not operate like a normal investigative journalism organization in that its goals appear to include interfering in foreign political matters, including foreign elections, that are aimed at regime change. Sullivan told NDR,
"We've probably been responsible for about 5 or 6 countries changing over from one government to another government. Because and getting, and people, prime ministers indicted or thrown out."
As such, it appears that the CIA, USAID, and OCCRP were all involved in the impeachment of President Trump in ways similar to the regime change operations that all 3 organizations engage in abroad. The difference here is that it is highly illegal and even treasonous for CIA, USAID, and its contractors and intermediaries often called cutouts, to interfere in U.S. politics in this way. In response to questions that we sent to OCCRP, it threatened to file a lawsuit against us. The premise of your article is factually false and defamatory, wrote Miranda Petrusik, the editor-in-chief of OCCRP, in an email to us. The claim by Dropsite News and partner media that USAID has control over editorial appointments has been disproven, she wrote, and we suggest you read our response to that. But neither OCCRP nor anyone else has disproved Dropsite's allegations, and Dropsite stands by them. And the evidence does not support OCCRP's claim of journalistic independence. If you're not already a subscriber to Public, please subscribe now to support our award-winning investigative journalism, our defense of free speech, and to watch the rest of this video and read the rest of the article.
This fucking political party, the Democratic Party, have lied to us about everything. They've lied about being the party of the middle class. They've lied about being the party of peace. They've lied about being the party that wants to help poor people. Okay? What the last several weeks have proven to us all is that this is a cadre of criminals and losers and spoiled children of affluent parents who were more concerned about looking good than actually doing good. These are people who were more concerned about looking like they were doing something for the American people than actually doing things for the American people. And that's why I'm so angry. Because this party lied to me while stealing my tax dollars. The Democratic Party lied to us all while they brought in millions of illegal immigrants for their own political purposes for the last 4 years. 20 to 30 million illegal aliens brought in, and now we come to USAID being probably the largest money laundering operation in American history. Congratulations, Dems. You've outdone even Bernie Madoff. I'm disgusted beyond words. Disgusted with the waste of money. Disgusted with the waste, with the fraud. With the way that you people use color legitimacy, and the way you use black people as fucking mules to get us to push whatever fucking agenda you wanted to. The amount of division you used black people to sow upon the American people, you used us for that. And I will never, ever forgive this political party. The shit that I've gone through personally. Y'all were supposed to be the party of free speech, the party of women's rights. You have immolated all of those things. And then, as if enough weren't enough, you then decide that you're going to die on the hill of USAID, a government audit. You're trying to prevent a government audit because some of you really are trying to stay out of prison. We see the game now. Y'all been out here telling us that the game was rigged against certain people. Well, now we found out who the people that were rigging the game were. Congratulations. Y'all are never going to win another political race ever again. Not if I can help it.
Boy, he was right on.
Yeah, he's fired up, wasn't he?
He was.
And those guys in Washington need to be hearing all this.
So it looks like we have another video. This is AG Pam Bondi. Anything you want to say about this one, Johnny? I know you added this slide.
I think this was just about her first interview once she got the job as Attorney General.
So now President Trump defending DOGE and its efforts to root out corruption in the government. He's touting the early results already and blasting the courts for ruling against the department, which could play out for some time now. The Attorney General, fresh on the job, is Pam Bondi, and she's got a beautiful backdrop there at the North Lawn of the White House. And thank you for your time and good morning. Good morning
Good
to you.
morning.
Yeah, I want to play a soundbite from yesterday about the judges here. Here is President Trump on that.
We want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation.
Just that comment in there about maybe we have to look at the judges. What does that mean?
Well, Bill, we have so many unelected judges who are trying to control government spending, and there is a clear separation of powers. You know, they're doing it to Elon Musk, who is a great man and a good friend at DOGE. What they're doing to him is to our country is outrageous. You know, people work their whole lives and pay taxes, yet they find out that they've been giving $2 million to Guatemala for sex changes. It's outrageous, and it's going to stop. We're going to fight back, not only with USAID and all these other agencies, but, you know, this is happening every day. But DOJ, we are prepared to defend all of these cases, and we will carry out President Trump's agenda.
Got it. In time, and you may be
country.
successful in that, but the president can't go after these judges, so to speak.
Well, these judges are lifetime appointments, but what we can do is appeal them. And that's what's actually happening today in a case. We're appealing a case right now. It went up to the First Circuit, and the First Circuit sent it back to the district court to clarify. And if they don't rule in our favor, we will go to the United States Supreme Court and get clarification and get a ruling, because we have outrageous, overzealous, unconstitutional judges trying to control federal spending. And, you know, that's what's been happening to Kristi Noem. The Roosevelt Hotel, of course, is the most prominent example of that, trying to force us to release tax dollars. And one unelected district judge is trying to do that to our entire country, but we will appeal it. And that is our remedy.
We are very familiar with the Roosevelt Hotel, just a few blocks from our studio here in Midtown Manhattan. Yeah. Another topic now, ICE going after illegal criminals in various cities. Tom Homan was asked about that. You mentioned Kristi Noem too. They're pushing back hard. Here was Tom Homan with Sean last night.
Tom, where are these leaks coming from?
Well, look, we think it's coming from inside. Some of the information we're receiving tends to lead toward the FBI. But I talked to the Deputy Attorney General all this weekend. They've opened up a criminal investigation, and they have promised that not only this person lose their job and lose their pension, they're going to go to jail. They're going to criminally prosecute.
Strong language, and I heard language from you yesterday that echoed that, between Noem and Homan and you. Reports in the LA Times about ICE raids happening days before they take place. We heard stories this morning out of Denver, Colorado. It was similar there in local newspapers. Have you found the leaker as of now?
And Bill, I can't talk about anything ongoing, of course, but what I will say, and to explain to you and the American people why this is so wrong and so illegal, is anytime you leak anything about a pending investigation, what do? You jeopardize the lives of our men and women in law enforcement who are going in there to make these arrests. It's dangerous enough making these arrests. Yet when you leak it and give criminals a heads up that they are coming, it could jeopardize lives. And that is illegal. And we will not tolerate it in the FBI, in any department within the United States government.
But as the moment, you don't have any names or...
I can't talk about any of that with you.
With regard to the FBI, there's the potential for layoffs or terminations. What do you think of that? And should there be concerns at the FBI?
Well, there are I've been working with them. There are great men and women within the FBI. And I want to make that crystal clear. We all believe that. They are the troops on the ground who want to be going back to their core function, fighting violent crime. DEA, ATF, FBI, they want to get the criminals off the streets. That's what we're going to do. We're going to restore them to their core function. Are there bad people in there? Yes. Will we find them? Yes. Will we root them out? Absolutely. But the majority of the men and women in law enforcement are great people, and we want to keep them to do their jobs and enable them to do their jobs. I think most of the problems in upper management.
Wow. Okay, Pam Bondi, thank you for your time. Come back soon, okay?
USAID. So this agency was started or established in 1961 by John F. Kennedy, with the stated goal of promoting economic development, humanitarian aid, and stability in developing countries. However, while its public-facing mission is to advance U.S. foreign assistance through development aid, USAID has historically served multiple strategic purposes, both overt and covert. And so USAID was created to provide economic and humanitarian aid, support disaster relief and crisis response, promote global health and education infrastructure development, strengthen democracy and governance by funding civil society organizations and institutions, and advance U.S. interests by creating new markets for American goods and services. Now, this is the mainstream definition, basically pulled from AI. But as we see, when you start looking at what really happens, it's often been used as a tool for foreign policy, intelligence, and geopolitical strategy, serving the following purposes. Now, there's countering communism and Soviet influence. This was during the Cold War. But then you see other things like USAID has been involved in destabilizing governments that oppose U.S. interests. It's also been suspected as serving as a front for CIA activities. We all know what that means. And so, it's oftentimes been used for regime changes, as in the case of Cuba. And then Ukraine, USAID funds were used to influence foreign elections and government stability. So this surely doesn't sound like what Kennedy intended when he created this organization.
Oh, certainly not. I mean, I think when they get to the bottom of it, they may find out that what it was intended for is probably the smaller amount of the money that they've been spending is going to that, and the rest of it's going to the more covert, illegitimate, and illegal stuff. The stories out there that they gave the Clinton Foundation, $84 million for aid in Haiti. Well, 13 million of it got waylaid into Chelsea's wedding and a house. So there's a lot of that going on, and because I felt like all along with this USAID, which I hate it when somebody says USAID. I wish the AG hadn't said that. But people always think, U.S. and then aid. That's not what it's all about. But I think it's just a money laundering operation. And I think it benefits both parties, primarily the Democrats, but there's some Republicans that are getting their hands in the till. And we've been involved in so much of that illicit stuff, this covert mess and overthrowing governments. I mean, now do you wonder why there's so much hatred for the U.S. outside the U.S.? I mean, we're sticking our nose in places we don't need to have it. And we're overthrowing governments.
So this is an article from the Gateway Pundit where White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt reveals some of the absolutely insane priorities that USAID wasted money on. And if you look below, there was $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru, $2.5 million to promote DEI in Serbia, $70,000 for a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. It's crazy stuff. And then you look on the right, we gifted a cement factory to Hamas terrorists, $310 million. This is just insane.
It is.
You got too many crooks in our government.
Yeah, and then it's reported that I saw today that James O'Keefe found this guy in one of the government agencies that said he described it as throwing gold off the Titanic, where they were hurrying up to send out all this money before Trump got in office. Billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's just a big money laundering operation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to the pockets of our politicians and other elites. Now we got a couple other videos. They're relatively short, but we've got one on USAID. Actually, both of them are on USAID, so we'll take a look at these.
The name USAID, they focus on aid. They focus on thinking like it's humanitarian work. But aid is not actually in the name of USAID. USAID stands for the United States Agency for International Development, not aid. It's not a charity. And international development is simply capacity building. It is local and regional capacity building done across the whole world, i.e. internationally. The primal id in USAID, international development, is about capacity building of assets that can be used by either the Pentagon, the State Department, or the CIA for their own activities. So if you're the Secretary of State and you were asked by the National Security Council or the President to do something in a different country, overthrow their government, stop the passage of a bill in a foreign country's legislature, how would you do that? And the first thing that I said is you would look at the assets that already exist in the country. Do we need new assets in addition to the ones that we currently have, or are the existing assets, can they achieve this simply by giving them enough money, giving them enough resources, giving them enough training, giving them enough support? One of the main ways that capacity building would be financed would be through USAID. USAID would say that it's doing something, funding a hospital system, funding universities, funding civil society organizations, funding media institutions, funding independent media in the region. Sorry, it's something in my eye. Independent media in the region on USAID payroll. And those institutions, those assets would then be bigger and more powerful and more capable, more capable of serving the State Department's goal, aka advancing U.S. national interests. USAID has a bigger budget than the State Department, over $50 billion. It is a bigger budget than the CIA. The entire intelligence community only has about 72 billion. So that's the CIA plus the 16 others. And USAID has a bigger budget than the CIA and is almost the size of the entire intelligence community combined. That is how important USAID is to American statecraft. It is an intelligence community, a State Department, and a Pentagon assistance organization rolled into one. I just copied this from the USAID website. USAID carries out U.S. foreign policy, advances U.S. national interests by promoting broad-scale human progress. At the same time, it expands stable, free societies, creates markets and trade partners for the United States, and fosters goodwill abroad. The operative phrases here are carries out U.S. foreign policy. This is not charity work. This is not aid. This is cynical, self-serving purposes. And what is it seeking to do? Free societies, open societies. Why does USAID want other countries to be open societies? Because that's how you get the influence in. If a country is a closed society, they're closed off from USAID influence. We cannot capacity build our assets there. Closed societies box USAID out. China is a closed society. That is why we have not been able to topple the government of China, despite having tried for 100 years now almost. We have not been able to topple Putin from Russia. Why? Because Russia is a closed society. Like China, they kicked USAID out. It is not an open society. And so the USAID can't just take over their entire media ecosystem by funding 100 different media propaganda outlets in the region to sway hearts and minds. And remember, that's what this is. It's hearts and minds and cash. That's what soft power is. They call it hearts and minds work, but it's cash that does the moving of those hearts and minds, especially of the leaders of the movements.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty informative video on the USAID.
The guy that's narrating that is the guy on the right in this next slide with the headset on. That's Mike Ben. He was narrating. He's been after this USAID for over a year.
But we have a couple more videos. Let's show those.
This is what Democrats are fighting to save. $20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street, $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes, $11 million to tell Vietnam to stop burning trash, $27 million to give gift bags to illegals before we deport them, millions to help Afghanis grow crops instead of opium. That program was such a success that opium production doubled. We also gave Afghanistan $300 million to build diesel fuel power plants, but they couldn't use them because diesel was too expensive. $200 million on a dam that was too unsafe to ever be used. We could have used that dam in California. $250 million on a road that was never used. We literally built a road to nowhere. Oh, and we gave Syrians $9 million for humanitarian aid, but someone messed up and it went to Al-Qaeda. $1 million for bat research in Wuhan. That equates to $1 million for each dead American. USAID was funding Fashion Week in Paris. France isn't even paying its NATO dues, and we're paying for their Fashion Week. USAID's a $40 billion deep state social justice slush fund.
He's the executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, Mike Benz. Mike, thank you for joining me this evening. Brother, we're hearing some pretty disturbing accusations about some of where our tax dollars have gone via USAID. Give us the facts.
Well, that's because USAID is one of the most disturbing organizations in the entire federal government. It may rank number one, in fact. USAID is under the cloak of being a humanitarian aid organization designed to advance U.S. foreign policy, is assigned the dirtiest tasks that the State Department can't get caught doing, and that used to be done directly by the CIA. But USAID is able to act as essentially a covert operations division in the way that the CIA used to, except it's not even bound by the requirement of a presidential finding to authorize a covert operation that the CIA does, which is why what you've seen for the past 2 decades is that most of the international scandals involving spycraft have had to deal with USAID rather than CIA. And if you understand the CIA's history with money laundering, you'll begin to get a glimpse at the size of the problem with USAID and why they won't let either congressional oversight or DOGE see their books.
So have they literally have struck gold of the gold of corruption, the massive bank vault that holds all the dirty details and secrets of the left and of the machine, maybe left and right, anybody complicit in basically selling out the American citizen and their tax dollars for nefarious actions, and it sounds like including the CIA. What is the CIA implicated in more details in what they've done?
Oh, well, I mean, just to your point first about the Democrat-Republican side, it's both. While USAID employees contribute 97% to Democrats, the more pernicious concern, so far as I'm concerned, is actually the blob Republicans, the internationalist Republicans who profit off of exploiting the American empire for their own private gain. For example, Bill Kristol, the famous never Trumper who likens MAGA people to terrorists, he is a part of an organization that receives millions of dollars from USAID. And so to the barricades, he goes to defend USAID. You find Liz Cheney was spawned out of USAID. USAID's sister group, the National Endowment for Democracy, has a Democrat organization and a Republican organization. And that Republican organization, the International Republican Institute, gets about $100 million a year just for Republican profiteering off of U.S. foreign policy. And the problem is far deeper than wokeness. And I want people to really understand this. When the National Endowment for Democracy, the constant companion of USAID and functionally interchanged, it was born out of a USAID memo in 1982 to give birth to the National Endowment for Democracy. But when they overthrew the government of Bangladesh 4 months ago in September 2024, these are leaked documents that were published in the gray zone just 3 months ago. The internal baseline assessment that the IRI submitted to the State Department was that the only groups that they could muster to form an opposition group against the sitting government were gay and transgender groups, were 2 racial minority groups within Bangladesh, and youth and student groups who predominantly listen to rap music. So what did they turn around and do? IRI, in tandem with USAID, they funded Bangladeshi rap groups. They funded transgender dance festivals. And they funded the local universities in order to push radicalization messages to overthrow the democratically elected government. But that was Republicans. That was the International Republican Institute, not the Democrats. And my concern is if this were just a partisan issue, there'd be no problem shutting USAID down. Because right now there's going to be a legal fight over whether you can shut USAID down by executive order. This is one of the main contentions right now that Democrats are vowing to fight. But if you couldn't do it through an executive order, you could do it through an act of Congress. The problem is it's going to be much harder to do it through an act of Congress because Republicans there, internationalist Republicans who do foreign policy for personal profit, can form a majority coalition bloc with Democrats. That is, they can defect over to the Democrats and shoot down an attempt to legislate USAID out of existence. And the problem, again, is because they either directly or indirectly, or their sponsors or donors, are on the take.
Wow. Yeah, we have hit the mother lode here. I really hope that it's something that President Trump can just issue an EO and say it's done. I hope also that as they begin to uncover the details of all of these schemes that go back 20 years, as you say, I hope that the individuals involved get exposed, and literally the America gets to see exactly who's been on the take for doing what. And maybe that'll push the ability for President Trump to sign an executive order and shut it down. What are your thoughts?
Well, in terms of what, the amount is totally eye-popping and overwhelming. The analogy that I've been giving for the past 2 years is that many people think they live in the world they think they live in, but in some respects, it's a carefully constructed Truman Show made up of movie characters around them, produced by USAID. And what I mean by that is USAID has infected the institutional architecture of every aspect of American society and world society. They have infected the media by USAID-sponsored media. They have infected social media by galvanizing advertiser boycotts and pressure to change social media algorithms. They've corrupted the prosecutors by USAID's work with prosecutors, prosecutor groups, and media groups to create predicates for prosecutors to take action. They've corrupted the unions. They've corrupted the public health institutions. They've virtually every layer from academia to civil society to the private sector to the media to the government is flowing through with unaccountable USAID bribe money to advance what's said to be U.S. foreign policy interests. But because Donald Trump ran on a foreign policy vision dramatically different from the legacy establishment, they used USAID as the tip of the spear to kill the domestic drivers of foreign policy, aka take out the guy who's running for president and his movement, and you won't have to worry about anyone challenging our foreign policy vision.
Wow, I gotta go. This is amazing. I need to have you back on really soon, Mike. But really quickly, if you can tell me in 15 or 20 seconds, has every past president for the last 20 years known about this corruption with USAID and just chose not to do anything about it?
Well, most of them are on the take. Joe Biden was the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which directly oversees USAID. USAID was funding Burisma. USAID gave money to Burisma and had a formal partnership agreement with Burisma. Barack Obama's mother worked for USAID. And the Bush family runs right through it. Bush's Vice President Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney worked for USAID. They're all in on it. And this is the reason that the Trump revolution was so revolutionary, is because it defeated both sides of the USAID snake. And now we're going to see just exactly how the snake bites back when it's cornered.
I wonder if all of the lawfare and the everything that they threw at President Trump in his first term, the Russiagate, the collusion, all the stuff, I wonder if that was just to try to keep him on his heels enough to not look at USAID. But
wait, but that was a USAID thing
Mike
too.
Pence, appreciate you.
Can I say this one thing real quick? No, I have to say this.
Yes.
Okay. USAID funded a group called the OCCRP. Everyone can look this up. They paid $20 million to a group of hit piece journalists who turned around and dug up dirt on Rudy Giuliani and then used that as the basis to impeach the sitting president, Donald Trump, in 2019. That was USAID.
That right there. That explains it. I was just, again, you nailed it. You had the information and it makes sense. I got to have you back soon, Mike. We're going to keep close eyes on this here at the Pulse. Mike Benz, thank you so much for your insights, brother.
Thanks, David.
So no wonder the Democrats are losing their minds over this USAID.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they got them cornered now. Really got them cornered.
Yeah, I hope.
And Mike Benz is worth following because he covers a lot of that. So I'd recommend anybody that's on X to They follow Mike Benz.
Yeah, that was really informative. I tell you, I hope Trump can get rid of the USAID.
I think that's the attempt right now. You know, I think all the employees are gone, but like 200, less than 300 of them, and they've moved them into the State Department. We'll just see how that goes over there. I don't know if that's a good move or not. I think it just needs to be totally abolished.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's just me.
And just think, this is just one department that's being audited. Wait till he gets to all the other ones in the government.
Yeah, that's a fact. I'll tell you, just a quick comment on this next slide. So in 1913, only 2% of households paid income tax. I mean, now look at all of us that are paying it, but look where it's going. All you got to do is look at the government waste, fraud, and abuse, and the percentage in each department, and see where it's going. The Treasury Department is estimated to have approximately 23.87. I don't know how you come approximately 23.87. Sounds pretty accurate to me. Of its budget being used in fraudulent or wasteful fashion. It's incredible.
It's worth noting that we didn't even have income tax until 1913 when the Federal Reserve Act was established.
Yep.
Then came the IRS.
Yeah, that's when we got rid of the, they've lowered the amount of tariffs we were collecting and started collecting income tax. Up until that time, we was using foreign countries to finance our government through tariffs. Now we got it today, and we're spending $6 trillion a year, and over $2 trillion of that is fraudulent.
Yeah, and we'll have a kind of a future podcast on the Federal Reserve, but Andrew Jackson, that's how he paid off the debt. The only president to ever pay off the debt was through tariffs.
Right.
So we have a slide on the left. So if you want to contact your senators, here's a list of all the senators and how you can contact them. We just thought we'd put this in there. Then on right this is actually from Elon Musk, from one of his posts on X. To be clear, what the DOGE team and U.S. Treasury have jointly agreed makes sense is the following: require all outgoing government payments to have a payment categorization code, which is necessary in order to pass financial audits. This is frequently left blank, making audits almost impossible. All payments must include a rationale for the payment in the comment field, which is currently left blank. Importantly, we are not yet applying any judgment to this rationale, but simply requiring that some attempt be made to explain the payment more than nothing. Do not pay list of entities known to be fraudulent, or people who are dead, or probable fronts for terrorist organizations, or do not match congressional appropriations must actually be implemented and not ignored. Also, it can currently take up to a year to get on this list, which is far too long. This list should be updated at least weekly, if not daily. The above super obvious necessary changes are being implemented by existing long-time career government employees, not anyone from DOGE. It is ridiculous that these changes didn't exist already. Yesterday, I was told that there were currently over $100 billion a year of entitlement payments to individuals with no SSN or even a temporary ID number. So this is extremely suspicious if this is accurate. And when I asked if anyone at the Treasury had a rough guess for what percentage of that number is unequivocal and obvious fraud, the consensus in the room was about half. So $50 billion a year or $1 billion weekly. Where's the common sense in this, Johnny?
None. There's none. There's none whatsoever. I mean, it's just like somebody walking off the street and telling you they need a check for $500 and you write it to them. That's what the damn Treasury's been doing. They hadn't been asking for reasons for the payment. They hadn't been asking for coding. None of that. And then the do not pay list. Oh, Lord. It can take up to a year to get on this list.
You'd like to say it's incompetence, but I don't even know if it's incompetent. I think it's intentional, all this.
I think a lot of it's intentional. Of course, a lot of it's laziness too. Why ask somebody to write them a check?
True.
Or send a check. And if they ain't got the money in the Treasury, we'll just, we'll get the Federal Reserve to print it. So
no wonder they don't want to be audited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm frustrated. I think as well as lots of Americans that we've let this go on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, this will really get you here. All of that's got to do with medical. All of that's got to do with medical. That's lots of money. Bernie Sanders, $23 million.
Yeah, these are all Democrats, I believe.
Yep.
Now you see, how they come in with a $200,000 salary and come out, multimillionaires.
Yeah.
It's because of this. Yep.
Yep. I saw that video of this guy asking Elizabeth Warren that exact thing. And she just wasn't paying attention to him. And finally, I think one of them elbowed him to get him out of the way. But that's another thing they want. I mean, they were all over Kennedy about it. They're afraid he's going to cut off this money right here. And it should be cut off.
It should. Shouldn't be allowed. Well, Johnny, that brings us about to the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it. I tell you, it's just some shocking information. And just something comes out on this every day. Chris, and I think for the foreseeable future, we're going to see it. I mean, Trump's going to keep digging and hammering, and he's going to keep digging it up. So all I can wish for is that they get this situation straightened out.
Yeah, me too. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yep, it sure is. It sure is. But anyway, I've enjoyed it, and I hope people that join in on this will enjoy it. And I'm going to sign out from Opelika, Alabama, and see you on the next podcast.
Yep, and I'm going to sign out from Opelika, Alabama as well. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And we'll leave you here with a couple of quotes from the Bible. And then we'll catch you on the next podcast.